You're listening to Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions on product and business strategy. And now, here's your host, Bob Caparelli.
Welcome to another episode of Dear Strategy, where we answer all of your questions about product and business strategy. Real questions from real people in real companies, just like yours. Well, before we get to today's question, I want to let you know that I just got back from one of my favorite conferences, the Podcast Movement Conference. It was in Philadelphia, not too far from me. I'm in the New York area, so just a train ride away. And I came back really, really inspired, as I usually do for most of these conferences. What's really interesting is, when you think about the world of podcasting, which I just love for so many reasons. I mean, of course, I'm an audio geek and I love all of that type of thing. But the idea of being able to, have a voice to some audience that wants to hear what you have to say. And in the case of the show, you also want to hear what each other have to say, right? Because everyone's asking questions and so forth. But to have that kind of an outlet, I think is just so incredible. And what's really cool about this conference is it, really focuses on the fact that, like, hey, most podcasters are not going to be, the million download, mega, popular kind of shows, because there's 500,000 podcasts and most of them are going to be kind of niche shows that are really, really super focused and super targeted. And if you get 100 listeners, 500 listeners, 1,000 listeners, it doesn't really matter as much as the fact that you have some audience, that you're creating some community. And that's kind of where I came back from saying, that's what we're doing here, is that we're creating a community of people who are really interested in this subject of strategy. But I think it's even more than that. And this is where I really want to take some time and focus a little bit more, is that the community that we have, not just people who are interested in strategy. I think what we promote on the show here and what I've tried to promote through the new company that I have, Strategy Generation Company, who of course now sponsors this show, is a community of people who approach strategy from a standpoint of, it being a very creative endeavor. And so it's not just about, kind of textbook academic strategy. It's about people who really embrace this idea of strategy by way of intuition, right? So you observe the world around you, you use that input or information to put together a plan, and you execute it. And you don't have to have, 12 degrees. You don't have to have gone to school for it. You can if you want, right? That'll only add to your body of knowledge. But I really want to embrace this idea of strategy as a creative endeavor. So what I'm going to be really focused on is solidifying this community a little bit more. You'll see on the website for Strategy Generation Company, I'm going to be targeting this community of strategy creators. It's kind of a term that I want to coin here. And even on this show, I really want to create this community of strategy creators, because I think when you think about creators, you think about people who are creative people, right? They're actually building something. And I want people to see strategy the same way. So I'm really going to be putting some thought into that, some resource into that. And anybody who listens to the show, you are now part of this community of strategy creators. So look for some more information on that. There'll be a Facebook group and some other things that I hope that we'll be able to share in. So with that said, let's get to today's question, which I think is a real great one. And it is, Dear Strategy, in a finance and numbers-driven organization, how do you build a case for projects that have more qualitative benefits than specific quantitative benefits? And so, I can make a few assumptions, but I've seen this many times in business where people say, the strategy is not necessarily about directly making profit or directly making, having more revenue or whatever else, that there's other reasons to do whatever it is that we're going to do. For example, maybe we want to maintain our share position, right? Maybe we want to, change our brand reputation or maintain our brand reputation or solidify our brand reputation. Maybe there's some other benefit that we're going to get from it, like community, right? Maybe we're helping the community in some way. And so that's part of our strategy. We're not going to get any financial benefit from it. And so I think that's kind of the direction that the question is being asked from. And what I want to kind of say on this is, don't confuse the financial impact of a strategy with quantitative kind of results. Because a lot of times we think, well, quantitative results automatically means some financial return. And that's not always the case. So if your purpose of your strategy is to make some financial return, then of course you need to quantify that in some way. But if the purpose of your strategy is to do something other than make some financial return, it doesn't mean that you don't have to quantify what the benefit or the result is going to be. You still do, because anytime you're putting a strategy in place, you're asking for some investment, right? Whatever that investment is, whether that's a financial investment, whether that's an investment in time, investment in resource, there's something that you're asking from people. And so when people are giving of themselves in some way, they want to know what they're getting back. So yeah, if they're giving money, they probably want to know what money they're getting back. Not always, but most of the time. But if they're giving something else of themselves, time or emotion or effort or whatever, they still want to know what they're getting back, right? And maybe what they're getting back is some level of recognition or some emotional benefit or something else. But you still have to quantify it. So you may not be able to quantify it in terms of dollars or cents, but you still need to say, this is what you're going to get in return. This is why we're doing the strategy. And as much as you can put that into quantifiable terms, you should. A good example of that is, let's say, any charitable cause, right? So we all see television commercials for St. Jude's or Shriners Hospital, a lot more of that nowadays, and any number of different charitable causes. And in this case, they're asking for money, but they're not, giving you money back, right? They're not saying that the benefit you're going to get from that is a financial benefit, but they are quantifying what the benefit is, right? So if the benefit is helping children in some way, well, how are they doing that? And you can go as far as to say, these are the statistics on how many children we've actually helped. I was very fortunate to take a tour of St. Jude's Hospital. Fantastic, fulfilling experience when I lived in Memphis. And you go and you take the tour and they will show you the actual stats of, how they have helped to reduce the cancer rates or increase the survival rates, I think is a better way to say it, over the years. And it is very quantifiable. So even though it's not a financial return, it is absolutely something that they can point out and say, this is what we are doing. So I think that, the way I'd like to take this answer is to say, don't confuse the quantitative benefits with financial things. So if there are qualitative benefits that you're going to be getting as a result of your strategy, try and quantify those benefits as much as you can. And so that's really where we'd want to go with it. Now, if it's an emotional benefit or something like that, or a brand reputation benefit, you could at least still state what that is going to be and ultimately what that's going to get you. And you may still be able to quantify that in terms of some ultimate financial return. So if you say, hey, this is going to help increase our reputation or increase our share, some type of thing like that, then you could obviously say that, if we do this, then we're going to increase our revenues over time or profitability over time and quantify that as well. So taking these qualitative benefits and turning them into something quantifiable, I think is a real challenge of the strategist, especially when they're asking for something. But I think it is absolutely incumbent on anybody who's putting together a strategy to be able to do that. And the other thing that I would really encourage you to think about as a strategist is that, you don't have to get it 100% right when you're trying to quantify something. Strategy is about predicting the future, and it's not going to be perfect. So don't be afraid of trying to quantify what the benefit will be and stating that this is an assumption. So if there's going to be some, qualitative impact that you say might increase your revenue or profit or something along the way, well, obviously you're not going to know exactly what the direct correlation is. But if you have some assumptions that you've made and you can state what those are, then you'll be somewhere further than if you just state, the qualitative piece without trying to quantify it at all. So I hope that's a helpful answer. Again, try and quantify the qualitative benefit as strange and contradictory as that may sound, that's what I would try and do. And hopefully I've given you a little bit of food for thought for being able to do that. So once again, a shout out for all the regular listeners. Thank you so much for joining. And if you haven't subscribed to the show yet, please go and do that on whatever your podcast aggregator of choice is. And if you wouldn't mind and you like the show, give us a review as well. Really, really helps for other people to find the show. It's really easy to do even on your mobile device. Give us some stars, write a couple of words. Unless you're in the car driving, don't do that. But whenever you can and wherever you can, we really would appreciate that as well. Don't forget to go out to our website. Also, read the blog that goes along. If you're not aware, every single episode, I do a corresponding blog as well. And it's not just a script of the show. It's actually adding some new insights and new thoughts. So go to the website, dearstrategy.net, and you can go ahead and click on the blog link at the top, and you'll see all of the blogs that I've written, and they correspond to these episodes really nicely. So please go check that out. And of course, go to the website of our sponsor, Strategy Generation Company, the company I also own, and this is the official show of that company. So go to that website if you get a chance as well, strategygeneration.com. You can see the workshops that we offer, and hopefully you'll take advantage of one of those as well. So until next time, don't forget to make time for the plan. We'll see you back here on another episode of Dear Strategy. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for listening to Dear Strategy with Bob Caparelli. To learn more or to submit a question to be featured on our show, please visit us at dearstrategy.net.